Now, I want to tell you guys something, okay? This is a brutal market to not be long, right? If you are cash heavy, this is absolutely your worst nightmare. It gets no worse than this. This is your worst nightmare if you went into this year super cash heavy, you refuse to be a buyer, you're not long at all, because you're looking at the Qs up 43%, you're looking at the NASDAQ up 36%, you're looking at SP 500 up 18%, inflation's coming down in a massive way. It looks like the Fed's very close to being done. They should already be done, in my opinion, but they might try to, raise one or two more times. But nonetheless, folks, this is the worst. This is your nightmare if you are not long this market, because it's running away from you. And to take that a step deeper, it's not just the indexes that are running away from you, it's individual stocks, the stocks that everybody wants to own. Let's be honest, what are the stocks that everybody wants to own on Wall Street? Nvidia, Tesla, Meta, AMD, these sorts of stocks, right? 81% this year, 150% this year, 150% this year, 220% this year, right? That is your nightmare scenario if you're cash heavy. And now you begin to understand why these stocks are starting to push up more and more, because more and more of these Wall Street folks are realizing, crap, I am severely getting destroyed by the indexes. I need to play catch up. And so they start funneling money into these stocks to try to catch up in this back half of this year, because they realize how far they're underperforming the market. And that's where you get that last kind of I don't want to call it a blow off top kind of move there, but that last kind of epic move is all that cash money, all that money that, has been unsure, starting to get a little more confident and starting to get FOMO simultaneously that says, it's either I buy Nvidia at $425 or I pay $625 for it at this time next year. That's what happens. It's those folks saying, I can either buy Meta for $313 today or I can buy it for $513 next year. What do I want to do? That's what starts to happen. And that's where you get that last kind of blow off the top scenario. And then after that, you have a moment in the market where the market either starts to come down again, or the market has a breather moment where it doesn't do anything for many months or even a few quarters. That's what ends up happening over time, right? So this is a market folks are having to deal with, and it's an absolutely brutal market. It's also brutal, I got to be honest, okay? It's even brutal for somebody like myself when I'm looking at what do I want to hedge against for next year, right? Because I'm already thinking about next year, right? And I need to do some hedges over the next few months to get ready to, just in case the market tanks at all in 2024, the economy tanks, whatever happens. I need to, do some hedging, right? Because I'm so long the market all the time. So I'm looking at different hedge opportunities, but I'm having trouble figuring out where I want to go with my hedge opportunities going into this year. And I need to figure this out in the next 2 to 3 months. It's not like I have all the time in the world. I need to figure this out quickly, because I'm going to likely want to do either something for Jan 2025s or Jan 2026s for some of my hedges, right? But probably Jan 2025s for puts, right? And so I'm looking out there and I'm looking at something like KB Homes. And I'm like, okay, KB Homes has been flying. The stock's up 74%. Interest rates are still extremely high, but on the flip side, inventory is so low for existing home inventory, right? And a lot of people continue to want to buy new homes because sometimes you get some kind of teaser rates and various things like that. And I'm also looking and I'm like, the PE ratio is 5.88 on the stock. So let's say they made half the profitability, next year that they did this past year. We're at 11, 12 PE. That's still not high at all. So I'm looking at something like KB Home, and I'm like, dang, man, is that really where I want to go? Looking at something like Toll Brothers, I'm like, this stock's up 70% in the past year. It's insane. It's up even more just this year alone, right? And I'm looking at that, but it's at a PE of 6.3. So if they were half as profitable over the next year as they were the past year, the PE is 12? It's not like that's super high. So that's where I'm having trouble with some of these, hedges, is trying to figure out where do I want to hedge for next year, right? And so it's even a brutal market for somebody like myself, because it's not like you really have slam dunk opportunities out there. It's not. And so that's where you're like, dang, it's a pretty brutal market. I went ahead and sold about $35,000 worth of Corsair shares in the public account here today. The public account's a portfolio I have that has about a little over $1.8 million in it, and everybody that's in the private group gets to see every single move I've ever made in that portfolio and ever make in that portfolio, right? And get to see exactly how I run a big money portfolio, obviously through Fidelity Investments, approaching $2 million, right? And so I went ahead and did that. With Corsair, what it came down to is, if analysts, I'm slightly more bullish than analysts are in regards to Corsair for 2024 and 2025 numbers. But basically, analysts have them doing about 77 cents of EPS in 2024, which would put the company at about a 23, 24 forward PE, which I wouldn't call expensive. I wouldn't call it cheap either for Corsair. I'd call Corsair pretty fairly valued. I think Corsair's true forward PE is probably about a 22 right now, in my personal opinion. For a business like Corsair, it's not cheap, but it's not overvalued. So it's a fairly valued stock, right? 7%, obviously revenue growth expected this year, 12% expected next year. So Corsair's a solid stock. I like it, and I remain a shareholder. I'm, happy to hold about 3,000 shares of Corsair stock, right, in the public count. But ultimately, there is a better place for the money in going into this. I had more money in Corsair than I did this other stock, and at the end of the day, this other stock, in my opinion, is going to outperform this stock quite significantly. Now, you never know these things for sure. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Corsair outperforms this other stock over the next few years. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I need more money in this other stock versus a stock like Corsair, okay? And that is PayPal. So I went ahead and put that money in PayPal here today, right? And as far as PayPal in the public count, that brings me up to about an $86,000 position, which, by the way, I'm going to continue to buy PayPal shares, so don't be surprised if this goes well over $100,000 before it's all said and done, right? So, Corsair, about a $53,000 position, PayPal, about an $86,000 position on its way to becoming a $100,000 plus position. That's where I want to be, okay? That's where I want to be in regards to this. PayPal, I'm just looking at a company that I'm getting for a forward P of probably about 11, maybe 10. And it has double-digit revenue growth ahead for years and years to go in the future. So from that perspective, I mean, I need to have more money in PayPal than Corsair. Once again, I could be wrong. Maybe, PayPal really disappoints over the next couple of years. Maybe Corsair smash it, and maybe Corsair outperforms. I just think I feel more comfortable in having much more money invested in PayPal than I do Corsair. And so that's why I went ahead and made that move here today. Like I said, whenever you go to sell a stock, you've got to feel like there's somewhere better for the money to go. You've got to have that next place figured out. It's not like I sold those, roughly 2,000 shares of Corsair today just to sell them. It's because I looked at them and I said, I think I got a better opportunity in this market, and, I want to put more money in this other opportunity, okay? Corsair, good company, good management team, not a lot of problems probably going for them for the next few years. They're in pretty smooth sailing. Appreciate everybody joining me as always. Thanks so much, folks. Thanks for being subscribed. Hope you got some good value out of today's video. I appreciate you joining me. Also, if you're looking to apply to try to join my private group, I invite you to fill out an application. That will be the pinned comment down there. We can, talk to you, see if you're a good fit for the private group. Maybe you are, maybe you're not a good fit. That's perfectly fine. Not everybody's, kind of cut out to, be in a group like that of high performers and whatnot. So